The downfall of the dishonest businessman. Once upon a time, there was a man named Richard who wanted to become rich quickly. He thought of a plan to start his own business and make a lot of money. However, Richard's plan was not honest, it was fraudulent. Richard started a company selling magical health potions that he claimed could cure any illness. He used fancy advertisements and convincing testimonials to lure people into buying his potions. People were desperate for a cure, so they believed Richard's words and bought his potions. At first, Richard made a lot of money from his fraudulent business. He lived a luxurious life, buying expensive cars, big houses, and throwing extravagant parties. He thought he had outsmarted everyone and that he would never get caught. But as time passed, people began to realize that the potions were not working. They grew suspicious and started complaining. Some even became sicker after taking the potions. News spread about the fraudulent businessman who was taking advantage of people's vulnerabilities. The authorities started investigating Richard's business practices. They found out that the potions were nothing but colored water with no actual healing properties. Richard's empire of lies was beginning to crumble. One day, the police showed up at his mansion and arrested him for fraud. Richard's trial was a big spectacle. Many people who had been cheated by him testified against him. The evidence was overwhelming, and it became clear that Richard had been scamming people for a long time. The judge sentenced him to prison for his dishonesty and for preying on people's hopes. As Richard sat in his prison cell, he realized the gravity of his actions. He had destroyed people's lives and taken advantage of their trust. He felt remorseful for his greed and dishonesty. In prison, he had time to reflect on his choices and the harm he had caused. Meanwhile, the people who had been affected by Richard's fraud came together to support each other. They formed a support group where they shared their stories and helped each other heal from the emotional and financial damage caused by the fraudulent businessman. They also raised awareness about the importance of checking the credibility of products before buying them. Richard's empire had fallen, but the impact of his actions continued to linger. The community learned an important lesson about the consequences of dishonesty and the importance of ethical business practices. Over time, they rebuilt their lives and became more cautious consumers, ensuring that they would not fall victim to another scam. In the end, Richard's story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and dishonesty. It shows that shortcuts to success often lead to ruin, and that true success is built on trust, integrity, and hard work. Richard's bad end serves as a reminder that the path of honesty and ethical behavior is the only sustainable way to achieve lasting success and make a positive impact on the world.
As Richard spent his days behind bars, he had plenty of time to reflect on the choices that had led him to this point. He thought about the people he had deceived, the lives he had disrupted, and the trust he had shattered. He realized that his quest for quick wealth had not only ruined his life, but had also left a trail of devastation in its wake. In prison, Richard had the opportunity to interact with people from different walks of life. He met others who had also made mistakes and were paying for their wrongdoings. Through these interactions, he began to understand the true value of honesty, empathy, and genuine connections. He started to see the importance of giving back to society rather than taking advantage of it. During his time in prison, Richard decided to make amends for his actions. He began to participate in rehabilitation programs and counseling sessions that aimed to help inmates understand the consequences of their choices and learn better ways to re-enter society. He shared his story as a cautionary tale, hoping that it would deter others from following a similar path. Outside the prison walls, the community that had been affected by Richard's fraud continued to rebuild. They had learned the importance of being vigilant and skeptical of too good to be true promises. Many of them became advocates for consumer rights, pushing for stricter regulations to prevent fraudulent businesses from taking advantage of vulnerable individuals. One woman, Lisa, who had lost a significant amount of money to Richard's scam, decided to start an organization that educated people about recognizing and avoiding fraudulent schemes. She traveled to schools, community centers, and senior centers, spreading awareness about the tactics that scammers often used and how to protect oneself from falling victim to them. Over time, Richard's story became an inspiration for change. His transformation from a dishonest businessman to someone striving to make amends showcased the power of redemption and personal growth. People started to believe in the possibility of change, not only for individuals like Richard but also for society as a whole. As Richard neared the end of his prison sentence, he had a newfound sense of purpose. He had taken courses to gain skills that could help him find legitimate employment upon his release. He wanted to use his experiences, both the successes and the mistakes, to help others make better choices. Upon his release, Richard continued his efforts to make amends. He volunteered with organizations that helped ex-convicts reintegrate into society and find employment. He shared his story at conferences, emphasizing the importance of ethical behavior and the devastating consequences of fraudulent actions. Through his dedication to change, he slowly started to rebuild the trust he had lost. In a surprising turn of events, Richard's story caught the attention of a documentary filmmaker. The filmmaker was intrigued by Richard's journey from a fraudulent businessman to a catalyst for positive change. He decided to create a documentary that would not only highlight Richard's transformation but also shed light on the broader societal issues of dishonesty, consumer protection, and redemption. The documentary, titled From Deceit to Redemption, The Richard Story, garnered attention from audiences worldwide. It served as a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is a chance for growth, change, and redemption. Richard's story resonated with people who had made mistakes of their own, encouraging them to take responsibility and work towards becoming better versions of themselves. In the end, Richard's bad end had led to a surprising twist of fate. His journey from a fraudulent businessman to an advocate for honesty and consumer protection showed that it is never too late to change and make a positive impact. His story became a beacon of hope for those seeking redemption and a reminder that the choices we make not only shape our lives but also influence the lives of those around us.
As time went on, Richard's efforts to make amends began to yield even greater results. He collaborated with organizations dedicated to educating young people about the perils of fraudulent schemes. He visited schools, community centers, and youth groups, sharing his personal story as a cautionary tale. His willingness to openly discuss his mistakes and their consequences had a profound impact on the young minds he spoke to. Richard's sincerity and determination to prevent others from making the same mistakes touched the hearts of many. He received invitations to speak at conferences, seminars, and even on television talk shows. People were captivated by his transformation, and his story became a source of inspiration for individuals who were struggling with their own ethical dilemmas. Lisa, the woman who had lost a significant amount of money to Richard's scam, had also continued her advocacy work. She and Richard crossed paths during one of his speaking engagements. At first, their interaction was tense, filled with the memories of the pain Richard had caused. However, as they spoke, Lisa began to see the genuine remorse in Richard's eyes. She realized that he was genuinely committed to making things right. Lisa and Richard decided to join forces. Together, they founded an organization called Ethical Choices, with a mission to raise awareness about the importance of ethical decision-making in business and everyday life. Their combined experiences, one as a victim of fraud and the other as a perpetrator-turned-advocate, provided a unique perspective that resonated with a wide audience. Ethical Choices offered workshops, seminars, and online resources that focused on teaching individuals, especially young adults, about the consequences of dishonesty and the value of integrity. They highlighted real-world examples of both the destructive outcomes of fraudulent actions and the transformative power of redemption. The organization's impact grew rapidly. Schools incorporated their curriculum into their character education programs. Businesses invited them to conduct ethics training for employees, and community groups sought their guidance on fostering ethical behavior within their communities. Lisa and Richard's partnership showed that healing and positive change were possible, even in the face of the most challenging circumstances. Richard's journey also caught the attention of researchers and psychologists interested in understanding the process of personal transformation. His story became a case study in rehabilitation and redemption, shedding light on the factors that contribute to an individual's ability to change for the better. Through interviews, studies, and articles, Richard's story provided valuable insights into the human capacity for growth and resilience. The media coverage and recognition that Richard and Lisa received had a ripple effect on society. People who had once been skeptical of the possibility of change began to re-evaluate their perceptions. Conversations about second chances, forgiveness, and the importance of addressing the root causes of dishonesty gained traction in various circles. The idea that even those who had made grave mistakes could contribute positively to society became a widely accepted notion. Richard's story was eventually adapted into a feature film, further spreading his message of transformation and ethical living to a global audience. The film not only highlighted the consequences of dishonesty but also emphasized the power of redemption, and the importance of giving back to the community. As the years went by, Richard's advocacy work continued to thrive. He and Lisa expanded their organization's reach, partnering with international organizations to promote ethical behavior on a global scale. Richard's past, once a source of shame, had become a driving force for change, reminding everyone that every individual has the capacity to turn their life around and make a positive impact. In the end, the bad end of the fraudulent businessman had led to a remarkable journey of redemption, education, and societal change. Richard's story taught us that while the consequences of dishonesty can be devastating, the potential for transformation is real and achievable. It emphasized the importance of taking responsibility for one's actions, making amends, and working towards creating a better future, both for oneself and for the world at large.
As Richard and Lisa's organization, Ethical Choices, continued to grow, they faced new challenges and opportunities. The impact of their advocacy work reached even further than they had initially imagined. They were invited to speak at international conferences, sharing their insights into the complexities of dishonesty, redemption, and ethical decision-making. Their collaborative efforts led to the creation of a comprehensive curriculum that was adopted by schools, universities, and organizations around the world. This curriculum went beyond simply teaching about ethics. It delved into the psychological and societal factors that contribute to dishonest behavior. It provided practical tools for individuals to develop a strong moral compass and make ethical choices in both personal and professional settings. Richard's personal transformation also inspired others who were facing their own struggles. He began mentoring individuals who had made mistakes and were seeking guidance on how to turn their lives around. His empathy and understanding, born from his own experiences, resonated deeply with those seeking a way out of their own challenges. Many of these individuals found hope and a renewed sense of purpose through his mentorship. Lisa, too, continued to make an impact. She became a prominent advocate for consumer rights and was invited to consult on policy changes aimed at preventing fraud and protecting vulnerable individuals. Her resilience and determination served as an example of how one person's commitment to change could lead to significant societal improvements. Together, Richard and Lisa wrote a book titled A Journey from Deceit to Empathy, which recounted their intertwined stories of transformation and the lessons they had learned along the way. The book became a bestseller, touching the lives of countless readers who were grappling with their own moral dilemmas. Richard and Lisa's journey illustrated that redemption wasn't just about making amends, but also about actively working to create a positive impact on the lives of others. Their work also had a profound effect on the business world. Companies began to realize that ethical practices weren't just a moral obligation, but also a strategic advantage. Richard and Lisa consulted with businesses to develop ethical guidelines, training programs, and corporate social responsibility initiatives. They showed that businesses could be profitable while also contributing positively to their employees, customers, and society as a whole. Over time, Richard's and Lisa's efforts led to broader conversations about criminal justice reform and the rehabilitation of offenders. Their advocacy work helped shift public opinion towards a more compassionate approach to addressing the root causes of criminal behavior. Policymakers and law enforcement agencies started exploring alternative methods of rehabilitation and reintegration, with a focus on providing offenders with opportunities to reform and give back to their communities. The impact of Richard's transformation extended to his personal life as well. He reconnected with his estranged family, including his children, who had been deeply hurt by his actions. Through open conversations, counseling, and sincere apologies, he began the slow process of rebuilding trust and repairing those relationships. His family's forgiveness and support further fueled his commitment to his advocacy work. As the years went by, Richard and Lisa's organization became a beacon of hope for those seeking a way out of dishonesty and darkness. Their story showed that change was possible for everyone, regardless of the mistakes they had made. They embodied the idea that one's past did not have to define their future, and that through determination, empathy, and a willingness to make amends, individuals could rewrite their narratives. In the end, the bad end of the fraudulent businessman had sparked a chain reaction of positive change that touched every aspect of society. Richard's journey from deception to empathy, coupled with Lisa's resilience and advocacy, had transformed lives, policies, and perceptions. Their story proved that even in the darkest moments, there was always a chance for redemption, growth, and the creation of a better world for all.
As Richard and Lisa's impact continued to spread, their efforts began to shape the very fabric of society. Their organization, Ethical Choices, evolved into a global movement that united people from diverse backgrounds under a common mission to promote honesty, empathy, and ethical behavior. Governments around the world took notice of their work and sought their input on policy reforms. Richard and Lisa became advisors on committees dedicated to criminal justice reform, consumer protection, and business ethics. Their insights, grounded in real-life experiences, guided the development of laws and regulations that aim to prevent fraud, support rehabilitation, and encourage responsible business practices. Richard's journey also inspired a new generation of storytellers. Filmmakers, writers, and artists drew inspiration from his transformation, creating movies, novels, and artworks that explored themes of redemption, forgiveness, and the power of personal change. These stories continue to spread the message that, despite the mistakes we make, there is always potential for growth and renewal. Ethical Choices expanded its reach into underserved communities, offering mentorship programs and educational resources for at-risk youth. Through workshops, seminars, and community engagement initiatives, they provided young individuals with tools to make informed decisions and resist the allure of dishonest paths. Richard and Lisa's impact extended beyond their organization as well. They partnered with other advocacy groups, academic institutions, and international organizations to address broader societal issues. They collaborated on initiatives aimed at addressing poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation, recognizing that ethical choices were integral to building a more just and sustainable world. Their work also caught the attention of philanthropists and investors who saw the potential for social change through ethical business ventures. The Richard and Lisa Foundation was established to support initiatives that aligned with their values, providing funding and resources to projects that aim to uplift communities, support education, and promote ethical entrepreneurship. In recognition of their tireless efforts, Richard and Lisa received numerous awards and honors. They were invited to speak at prestigious events, including TED Talks, where they shared their personal journeys and the lessons they had learned about the capacity for transformation. Their speeches resonated deeply with audiences around the world, inspiring individuals to reflect on their own choices and the impact they could have on the world. As Richard and Lisa's story continued to unfold, they remained committed to their mission of fostering ethical behavior and social change. They traveled to remote villages, bustling cities, and boardrooms, spreading their message of redemption and the importance of making choices that benefited both individuals and society. The media, always eager to highlight stories of transformation, continued to follow Richard and Lisa's journey. Documentaries, interviews, and articles showcased their ongoing work and the lives they touched. Their story became a beacon of hope for those who had lost their way, a reminder that no one was beyond redemption and that positive change was possible for everyone. In the end, the bad end of the fraudulent businessman had given rise to an incredible tale of transformation, unity, and social impact. Richard and Lisa's journey demonstrated the profound ripple effect that a single individual's commitment to change could create. Their story showcased the incredible potential within each person to overcome adversity, make amends, and contribute to a better world. As they continued their work, Richard and Lisa knew that their journey was far from over. They understood that change was a continuous process, and they remained dedicated to inspiring others to take the path of integrity, empathy, and ethical choices. Their story proved that even the darkest chapters of one's life could lead to a legacy of positive change that extended far beyond their own existence.